Alright mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. The transfer window in England is going to close in just over a week, a little bit later in some other countries. So I thought in this video I'd talk about some of the massive transfers in world football that could still happen, some of the transfers that need to happen for the clubs involved, and also how likely they are to happen. So let's get underway. Okay, so first of all, got to say apologies for the lack of videos on the channel recently. A few of you have been messaging me about it. The good news is they're coming back. One of many reasons why I haven't been uploading super regularly recently is because I've been really busy presenting a lot of the competitive FIFA eSports stuff, and that all comes to an end for this season of FIFA 19 this weekend at the FEWC at the O2 Arena. It will be the fourth FIFA World Cup that I've presented at in a row, so really happy to be there again. And you guys can still come on down. Tickets are available. There's a link in the description. You actually get 50% discount on the tickets if you use the code FEWC Spencer and my unique link in the description. Why should you come to this event? You can see the live semi-finals and finals of the best FIFA 19 players in the world. We're going to crown the winner. That winner is going to get $250,000. But not only that, if you come down, you're going to see some of your favourite YouTubers, some of the big faces from the FIFA scene, as well as 4 double decent hip-hop artists. So the event is this Sunday, literally in a few days, the 4th of August. Okay, make sure you come down if you can. O2 Arena in London. All the details you need are in the description. Oh, and also, if you come down to the final, you're going to get your hands on a playable demo of FIFA 20, which is super exciting. Obviously comes out in a few months, so hopefully see some of you this weekend in London. But now though, let's crack on with this video. And there is some huge transfers that could happen. And a lot of these transfers could create like a trickle-down effect, where if one transfer happens, we'll see lots of other players move as well. And the first one we've got to talk about is Gareth Bale. Okay, what is going on with Gareth Bale? This guy has won loads of Champions Leagues with Real Madrid. Arguably one of their most successful players of all time. Sure, not on the Ronaldo level, but there's not many players that have done what he's done. There's some stats that came out recently comparing him and Zidane as players for Madrid. Yes, different positions, of course. So it's normal that Bale would have more goals and assists, but he's got a lot more trophies as a player for Real Madrid than Zidane. He doesn't really have that respect there, though. He gets booed sometimes. Maybe he hasn't helped himself that he hasn't learnt the language, which is a bit shocking, to be honest. Quite poor from him. But he's not a poor footballer. He's a fantastic footballer. He nearly went to China, okay? That deal was pulled out of. He was going to potentially earn up to £1 million a week, which is mental. He doesn't appear to be happy that that deal's not come off. There's a lot of other clubs that seem to not want to make a move for Bale because of this kind of individual attitude he seems to give off. Even Jurgen Klopp said he only wants to sign players that are team players when he was asked about Gareth Bale at Liverpool. And Zidane has said multiple times that he wants Bale to move. However, the serious injury to Marco Asensio, who's going to be out for the season probably after doing his ACL, has changed things quite a lot. When he was pulled back from China, it was believed maybe they thought Bale will have to stay and play now because of no Asensio being available. But then they've pulled James Rodriguez back, who was going to potentially go to Napoli, and said he's going to stay a Real Madrid player this season. So maybe there is still room for Bale to move. Where could he go though? I don't think Man City are interested in him. Manchester United makes a lot of sense. They need attacking players. We're going to talk more about Manchester United later in this video because there's a lot of movement that could happen there. And he'd be such a big success with their fans, surely. And Bale, what is he, 30 years old? He's still got plenty of time in his prime, couple more years at least, to show what he can do back in the Premier League. I don't think he has the appetite to go to Manchester United. I'm not sure if they want to pay and give him the kind of length contract that he'd probably be looking for. Some have suggested that if he was going to come back to the Prem, he would only go to Tottenham, his old club. And what a signing that would be. You know, amazingly, Tottenham haven't lost any of their big names yet, which we thought might happen. They sold Trippier to Atletico Madrid, but they've still got Kane. They've still got Eriksen. He was someone I thought might go to Madrid. And they've signed Ndombele. They're actually signing players again. If they were to add Bale into that mix, their squad would be frightening. But I feel like maybe Bale and his agent are kind of pricing him out of any move right now. And maybe Real Madrid are having second thoughts. Could there be another world where he goes to PSG, with Neymar perhaps going the other way? Neymar wants to leave PSG. We're going to talk about whether he could go to Barcelona or not, whether he could return there. But Real Madrid, I'm sure, would love to have him. Some people suggesting that Real Madrid are holding out to get Mbappe in a year or two. But either way, if Bale was to move, there would be huge trickle-down effects. If he was to go to United, they'd be offloading some players. Maybe even Pogba the other way to Madrid. I personally would love to see Bale move because I want to see him playing football week in, week out. And he's still one of the best players in the world. There's a risk at the moment he's either going to leave the kind of mainstream football world and go to somewhere like China, which I think would be a waste, even though he'd earn silly money, or we're just not going to see him play at all, and that would be a shame. However, what is the likeliness of Gareth Bale leaving Madrid, in my opinion. It could go either way right now. I think they want him to go. I think he would consider going. I don't think he wants to go out on loan, but I'm not sure anyone's got the money and prepared to offer him the contract he wants. So I'm going to say right now it's a 5 out of 10, meaning like a 50% chance it happens. It is worth pointing out though that Bale did not go to Munich with the squad of Real Madrid for a pre-season tournament. So maybe they're preparing for a move. Obviously, everything I say in this video is true as I'm recording it, but things can change very quickly in football. So depending on when you're watching this, a few things might have changed. We mentioned him earlier. Let's talk about Pogba at Manchester United. Now, what's happening here? For me, it's very late in the window for Premier League clubs because their window does end before the season starts, unlike other countries, although I think that will change in the future. I think other countries are going to follow our lead. But right now, we've got a bit of a disadvantage. We could lose players after the window closes. We can't sign them. So Manchester United are playing a dangerous game if they've got any plans to lose Pogba. He's such an important part of their midfield. But he is being linked with a move away, perhaps back to Juventus, perhaps to Real Madrid. Juventus have got a lot of midfield talent right now. They may be going to have to offload the likes of Matuidi and Khedira. Maybe Matuidi would come to Manchester United. But it does seem that Pogba's not super happy at Man United. He's not going to be playing in the Champions League next year. He's a player that, let's face it, should be playing in the Champions League. He's a World Cup winner. He divides opinion sometimes, but at his best, he's one of the best centre midfielders in the world, hands down. Man United have only brought in the young Welsh winger James. Wan-Bissaka, of course, at right back. There's still a couple big signings short of revolutionising their squad in the way that we were led to believe they would. And if they lose Pogba, they've got to do even more work because that centre mid area would look light. They've already lost Herrera, of course. So as much as I think there could be some appetite for Man United and their fans to not have Pogba anymore, which is weird to say, and there's an appetite for Pogba to leave, I think it's too late in the window maybe. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. 30% chance he moves, 70% chance he stays for this season, at least until January, in my opinion. Keeping on Manchester United though, let's look at Lukaku, a player who's not been super successful since he signed for a lot of money at Man U. I think he wants to leave. He was rumoured to be wanting to go to Inter Milan, although now Juventus have come out as a likely option for him. I'm not sure how that would work if he went to Juventus. I mean, Ronaldo's been playing as a kind of one up top for them. Would they go 2 up top? Would they move Ronaldo to one of his old wider positions? Would they play just one of them and maybe Lukaku doesn't get as much game time and they'll be preparing for life after Ronaldo? I don't know. Inter Milan seems like a better option for Lukaku in terms of game time. And Inter Milan are trying to get rid of Icardi. Now Icardi wants to stay in Italy. As much as there'll probably be some Premier League clubs that would take him, maybe Manchester United, he wants to stay in Italy. So maybe he could go to Juventus. So there's all these moving parts that are all interlinked. We need to see some signings happen and we're running out of time. It would be interesting to see how Manchester United's attack would reshape after Lukaku exit. Would Rashford become the main man up top? Sanchez is the elephant in the room really, isn't he? They need to get him off the books. They're paying him so much money. He's not really playing and he's not performing. I'd personally rather keep Lukaku and lose Sanchez if it's an option, if anyone will take him. But focusing on Lukaku, I think this could happen. I think it's slightly more likely than the Bale move. And again, it will have an effect on different transfers if it does move on. I'm going to give it a 60% chance of happening. 6 out of 10 for a Lukaku deal. Don't know where, but it seems like Italy. There is a chance that Dybala from Juventus could come the other way. He's a player that Man United have looked at and are interested in. And imagine an attack with the likes of Dybala and Rashford in there. Martial an option as well. On its day, that attack would be very, very good. And Dybala's falling out of favour a little bit at Juventus. Is he a kind of Maurizio Sarri player? They've brought Aaron Ramsey in, and depending on where you'd play Dybala, that might affect his ability to play in the kind of attacking midfield role behind the striker or strikers. He'd probably be pushed out wide. And he's probably a player that's a bit sick of living in other players' shadows. In the Argentina squad, he doesn't get a lot of use because he's just seen as a B-Tech Messi. You know, they're similar kind of players and similar kind of positions. And now in Juventus, he's very much in the shadow of Ronaldo and perhaps future signings they could bring in, like, for example, Lukaku or Icardi. Dybala needs to move, in my opinion, and I'd love to see him in the Premier League. And seeing as there's appetite for players to go both ways, Matuidi, Dybala, Lukaku the other way, there could be some deals between Juventus and Manchester United still to be done. So I'm going to give Dybala moving a 7 out of 10, 70% chance. Keeping on Manchester United, let's talk about Harry Maguire, okay? Centre-back from Leicester. Man United have been courting him all summer, but they haven't got the deal done. Leicester want as much as £90 million for him, which is mental when you consider that De Ligt has gone to Juve, probably the most in-demand centre-back in the world, for less than 70, I think less than 65 million euros. You do tend to pay a premium for English players, particularly in the Premier League, and everyone knows Manchester United need the players. They had to pay 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. Another club might have got him for less, but they're not prepared to pay the 90 million or 80 plus million that Leicester want. They want to pay around the 70 million mark, which I think, if we're being realistic here as a neutral, is more than enough, isn't it? I think Leicester might be being a little bit greedy here. I understand why they are, and I respect it, to be honest. I respect they don't want to lose their player. You sign contracts for a reason. They want to keep Maguire. But if the player wants to go, it could end up being a problem for them. He's given them a decent couple of years of service. He has kicked on as a player whilst being at Leicester, and they could take a lot of money for him and reinvest it elsewhere. So I think Maguire should go. I'd like to see him make the move to a bigger club. I think anything around the 70 million mark is fair. If they can find a couple more million, they might get this deal done. I want to see it done, but will it happen? I'm still not entirely sure. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 chance, 70%. Man United need to make some signings. And if they do lose Pogba, they need a centre mid. And that centre mid they're looking at right now is Milinkovic Savic from Lazio. Very hotly tipped player. He's got that same kind of dominant presence in the midfield that Pogba brings you, maybe with less of the ego. So it could be a good move for them to get him in if they lose Pogba. They're going to have to pay a lot of money for him, but I think it's a move that makes sense for the player and the club. I think this one's the most likely one we've talked about so far. I'd like to see Milinkovic Savic in the Premier League. I'm going to give this one an 80% chance of happening. There is a chance that Man United go for Ben Yedder as well as another attacking option if they lose Lukaku. Another move that makes sense for the player, I think, a step up from Sevilla to Man United. Maybe not in terms of the level they've been playing recently, but in terms of fan base and in terms of your career. It's a big club to go to. He's had the opportunity to go to China, Ben Yedder. He's turned it down. I think Man United are going to have to bring at least one attacking player in. I don't think they'll get Dybala and Ben Yedder, but I think there's a chance that they could end up with Ben Yedder. So let's go 6 out of 10, 60% chance we see Ben Yedder at United. Now let's talk about Wilfried Zaha. Okay, Crystal Palace player. Obviously, Arsenal came in with that £40 million bid. They got a little bit of stick for it. Crystal Palace wanted double that. They wanted 80. They'd already managed to get 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. They don't need to sell. But Zaha does want to leave. And that, again, is a very difficult situation to manage if a player wants to leave. He's been there 2 times, 2 spells at the club. He's already left once to go to United. Didn't work out. Arsenal maybe would give him a little bit more time, a little bit more playing time. He didn't get a lot under David Moyes, who was under pressure when he came in at United to perform from day one. Didn't want to maybe give the young Zaha at the time the opportunities he needed. However, I don't think he's going Arsenal because they look to have signed Pepe. They've spent a lot more money on Pepe than what they offered on Zaha, around the 70 million mark. However, they've been able to structure the deal over like a 5-year period. I think they're only giving Lille like 20 million up front, and then they're going to structure the rest over a long period of time, which suits Arsenal a lot more. Palace need the money now, especially with Zaha, because they've got to give a large chunk of that to Manchester United as a sell-on clause. So ultimately, Arsenal just don't value Zaha in the same way they value Pepe because of the way they can do the deal, and maybe they feel that Pepe is slightly better. But Everton have come forward for Zaha. They've offered like 55 mil roughly, which is turned down, which is a lot of money to turn down. And then there was reports they've offered the same money plus 2 players, MacArthur in the midfield and Tosun, the striker. Now, Everton have got a striker issue. They need a striker. We talked a lot about Juventus players this video. Moise Keane is another player that could leave and could come Everton, and I think that would be a fantastic signing. I tell you what, if Everton get Zaha and Keane, their attack is frightening. You've got Richarlison, you've got Sigurdsson, Walcott on the bench. Although on a side note, Everton have just lost arguably one of their most important players in Idrissa Gueye, who's gone to PSG. They quadrupled their money on him. They bought him for 7 million, sold him for 28. Not bad business, but they're going to miss him in there. Fabian Delph has come in, not the same player, but will play a lot for Everton, unlike Man City. So back to Zaha. Crystal Palace don't need to sell him, which is going to be crucial, I think, in whether this move happens. But he seems to want to move. Arsenal's not going to happen now. Everton seems like the likely option. I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10, 60% chance. I think there's still a chance that Palace will hold firm, but Zaha could push the move through, particularly if Everton go back with just one little increased offer. Let's talk about Neymar, okay? Neymar at PSG. Has that move worked out? Probably not. When he's played, he's done very well. As to be expected, it's not the best league, but he's had a couple of big injuries. His dream of winning a Ballon d'Or has not materialised and maybe never will. He wants to leave now, and he seems like he wants to go back to Barcelona. It seems like Messi wants him back at Barcelona, but they've just signed Griezmann. Right, they've got a lot of attacking players. Messi, Griezmann, Suarez, Dembele. They've still got Malcolm, who could move on. I don't see where Neymar fits in this attack. Obviously, you're going to play him. Who are you not going to play? Can you play all 4? Can you move Messi or Griezmann into kind of the whole of midfield and have the other 3 ahead of them? Is Suarez's time coming to an end? What does this mean for Coutinho? This will be a massive transfer if it happens, and there will be big ramifications. I still think there's a chance Real Madrid come in for Neymar if they can offload Bale. But does Neymar want to go to Madrid? It would not please his old club Barcelona if he did, I'm sure. Imagine the front three though of Hazard, Jovic and Neymar. Madrid could really rival the front three of Messi, Griezmann and Suarez. But I'm not sure about this Neymar deal. I don't see how he fits back in the Barcelona squad without really upsetting some egos there, which he maybe has already done at PSG as well with the likes of Cavani, or Barcelona not offloading someone. So if Barcelona sells someone big or get rid of Coutinho or Dembele or even just Malcolm, maybe then I'll start to see it happening. But right now as it stands, Neymar leaving PSG, with Bale still at Madrid as well, I'm giving this like a 3 out of 10. 30% chance. Other things have to happen first for me. But one thing that could happen in that is Coutinho leaving Barcelona. Let's talk about that. Could he return to Liverpool? Do Liverpool need any new players? Some Liverpool fans have been a little bit annoyed Klopp's not done loads of business. They've brought in a couple of youngsters like Harvey Elliott, the youngster from Fulham. Looks to be exciting. Apparently, even though he's only 16, they're going to use him in the first team squad next year. Not in the youth squad. They've brought in a young Dutch centre-back as well, but they haven't brought any big names in. They brought in a lot last year, and they did pretty well. They were really unlucky not to win the league, and they won the Champions League. Do they need to improve their squad? The problem they've got is the front three are all missing pre-season right now. They all played summer tournaments, and they're not doing very well in pre-season. They've been pretty lucky over the last few years with not really missing any of those front three for extended period of time, although Salah did get that injury before the Champions League final, and then Origi and Co stepped up. But I feel like they could still use some cover, and they could still use a creative midfielder. They've done very well with the likes of Wijnaldum in there and Henderson, Keita, Fabinho, etc., Milner. But I think even though Oxlade-Chamberlain's back from injury, as is Joe Gomez, which is going to give them a boost, it's like a signing in itself, or two signings. I think if they were to get Coutinho back, their team would be scary, and their team could potentially rival Man City. But is there an appetite for the player to come back? Do Barca want to lose him? He's not amazingly popular at Barcelona, Coutinho. So it could happen, this one. But I'm not sure how much Liverpool feel they need him. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10, 40% chance. I think Barcelona will offload someone soon. If not in this window, that future windows. But maybe not yet. Now, there is a chance Leroy Sané could still leave Man City. Bayern Munich have been after him all summer long, and it would be crazy for Man City to lose a player of his quality, in my opinion, but he doesn't always start for them. And he's got a chance to go to the biggest German club. He's a German player. And Bayern Munich are kind of revolutionising their attack now with the likes of Ribéry and Robben leaving. They tried to get Hudson-Odoi. They failed at that, it seems. Sané would be a great capture for them. Man City seem to have lined up Oyarzabal from Spain as a potential replacement for Sané if they do lose him. I've probably butchered his pronunciation there, by the way, but I'm going with Oyarzabal. I personally don't want to see Sané leave the Premier League. I think he's still got loads to offer Man City, but sometimes if you're a German player and Bayern Munich come calling, it could be too hard to turn down. He's won consecutive Premier League titles. Maybe this is a chance for him to be that true German hero that he's probably grown up wanting to be. I think this one could potentially still happen, you know. I'm going to give it a 50-50 chance, 5 out of 10. Finally, I'm going to talk about Arsenal quickly. It looks like Pepe's come to the club. He might have even been confirmed by the time you're watching this. Good signing for them, improving their attacking options. Defence is an issue. Mustafi could be leaving as well. They're after Kieran Tierney from Celtic at left back. They've needed a new left back for a while, in my opinion. Kolasinac is a good option at left back. He can play another position as well. We know how tough he is. We saw him fight off those muggers in Mesut Ozil's car recently. But I think a different kind of left back could be a good addition. Kieran Tierney could be that guy. Celtic are holding firm right now, wanting a bit more money. But I've got a feeling they might get their man eventually. You know, when a Scottish Premier League player gets a chance to come to the Premier League, it's hard for them to turn it down. We've seen Van Dijk make that move. We've seen Andy Robertson make that move. Another good left back, of course. It could be time for Tierney. I reckon this one's got a 7 out of 10 chance. I'm going to give it 70% chance of happening. I'm sure there's loads of transfers I haven't talked about, guys. Sorry if I haven't talked about your club. Haven't really talked about my club, West Ham, in this video because I think we've done most of our business with Fornals and Haller coming in, Lanzini back from injury. And I'll get a chance to look at all the club's chances in the Premier League when I do my Premier League predictions video just before the Premier League season starts. So let me know in the comments below what transfers you want to see happen the most. Where do you think some of these big players could go and should go, or should they stay? Is there a player you really want at your club that I haven't mentioned? Leave me a comment below. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed this episode of IMO. Subscribe for more football videos coming very soon, guys, I promise. Don't forget, if you want to join me at the FEWC Grand Final this weekend, the FIFA E World Cup. It's going to be great. O2 Arena. Check the links in the description. I'll see you next time. Don't go change it.